your host, Nicole Rodriguez, also CEO and founder of NRPR Group. For those of you who have joined us before, you know that Perfect Pitch was created to help the audience members, you, learn a little bit more about members of the media from their perspective, how they got into their respective roles, what makes a good pitch for them, and what it is they like to see when working with PR people. And today I am joined by none other than David Rabadi, who is a writer for Splash Magazine. And today David is going to talk to us about how he got into journalism, what makes a good pitch for him, and how best to work with him. So David, without further ado, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And as you guys can see, media people are just like us. They too commute and drive cars. So we are all about humanizing our awesome friends in the media and helping people really understand what it is you guys do and what you're looking for. So David, if you could walk us through how you got into journalism and how you got to Splash Magazine.
Sure. Thank you for having me, by the way. So when I was younger, I used to sit on the couch when everyone went to sleep in the house and pretend to interview people. And I always was fascinated about like different stories, and I used to watch Oprah a lot or Ricky Lake. And I really connected with listening to someone else's story and their journey and their message and what they want to inspire or what their message is and what they want to accomplish in their lives and the challenges that they face. So I never thought about writing though. I always thought about just having a verbal conversation with people. And it wasn't until I was about 27 years old, I saw an ad on Craigslist looking for writers, a magazine, and it was Splash Worldwide, the magazine I write for. So I applied and they automatically sent me to New York Fashion Week and they wanted me to write about the shows. So I felt like that was boring because I was like, I don't want to write about a show. I'd rather do a Q&A with someone and talk to them and get their input and get into their brains and, you know, find out what struggles they have. So I saw Nigel Barker in between the shows and I went up to Nigel. I said, hey, Nigel, I'm David. I'm with Splash Magazine. Would you care to have an interview? He said, sure, just speak to my publicist. And his publicist is like standing right beside him. And then I said, okay, when could I schedule a time to meet with him? So 2 days later at Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, I met up with him in one of the tents and I did the Q&A, and I did it without getting permission from Splash Worldwide. So I just did it on my own. I said, what's going to happen now? So it was time for me to submit my articles. And I said, you know, what you wanted me to do was kind of boring. So instead, I decided I wanted to interview someone, and I got an interview with Nigel Barker. And they were like, oh, that's great. So they let me submit my article on Nigel Barker, and they came up with a deal with me. They said, okay, so if you want to do Q&As, you'll get credits to your name. It's a way for you to build your resume, and we'll get you into certain events, but we can't necessarily pinpoint or get you an interview with whoever the people are that are going to these events or these celebrities. But if you can manage to, the way you did with Fashion Week and Nigel Barker, to get people, then we're on board with you. So that happened. And you know, it's so funny. My friend was like, David, I could never just go to a fashion show where I'm supposed to write a story about the fashion show and be like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just do a Q&A with someone. She was like, you're just so funny. And you just go up to people because there's a process. Like usually you have to deal with the publicist of the talent, right? You have to get an appointment with them. And I was doing it differently. I went directly to the talent. I'm like, hey, do you mind if we do a Q&A? And what I found out and what I've learned, everybody wants to be interviewed. Whether you're an A-list celebrity or whether you're struggling, everyone wants to be interviewed. And it's like, it's such an easy, like no one turns down an interview. Everyone wants to be in the spotlight, right? So that's how I got into it. And then from there, well, like years later, I got an opportunity to have a show on the City World Radio Network. And I did a show called You and I Matter, and I had a diverse group of guests, and it like I was enjoying it, but I wanted to really get in and make a name for myself, right? So I got the opportunity to work for 89.1 FM in New York, New Jersey, and um, it was a music station. So I didn't realize, I thought this would be a great opportunity for me, but I didn't realize it's a music station. So I was limited to the type of guest I could have on. It wasn't like when I was on City World Radio Network where I had a variety of people because it was a variety show. This is a music radio station. So I would have only like musical guests and obviously to play different music. So I tried my best to do like different weeks of like 80s music or 90s pop or classic rock. But I found that I wasn't being like it wasn't fulfilling me. It wasn't like it just I felt stagnant with it. So I went back to writing and I'm still working with Splash Worldwide, and it's like I love it. I get to meet different people all across the world that are working on something different or unique or um, something that has meaning for them. And I hope I would love if I could have a talk show. So that's my aim. So that's how I got into it. That's what I'm
Love
doing
it.
now. I actually also wrote a book called How I Lost My Mind and Found Myself that deals with um, coming out. So it's Pride Month. So it deals with coming out, being Middle Eastern and gay, and having bipolar disorder. So um, I've lived a life that I had a lot of struggles and things I had to get through. And I realized that I needed to share my story because there was such a stigma with mental health issues, right? So people are like, they feel that stigma or they're ashamed and they're embarrassed. They don't want to admit that they see a therapist or that they take medication. And I felt like I'm not going to be embarrassed about having a mood disorder. People that are diabetic are not embarrassed about having an insulin issue with their sugars. Like, you know, they go up and down. So they take insulin to balance it out. Why should I be embarrassed for a mood disorder and there's medication to balance out my mood? And so that's what I'm on now. The book was released in 2020, August 31st, which actually is my younger brother's birthday. So that was cute. Um,
Congrats. And can people get that on Amazon? Where can we go to find this book?
they can get it on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com, or they could also go to my website, davidrabadi.com, and Rabadi's R for rabbit, A for apple, B for boy, A for apple, D for David, I for ice. And check me out and find out more about me on my website and purchase a book.
I absolutely love that. And you know what? And kudos to you for one, having the courage to get into journalism in a way that you wanted to. Unapologetically, you were like, look, I have an idea. I think that's going to be something better. I'm going to just try this. And you turned around, you made it your own. How many people wouldn't have the guts to do that? So major kudos to you for doing that. And now it's like you get to come at this in a way that you want to. And I love that.
And you know what's interesting? A lot of people, especially in like the entertainment industry, always feel that they can't be who they really are. They have a persona and they have to be a certain way. And it's so funny. I'm not big into like hip hop and rap music, but I love Cardi B because she's just so unapologetic about who she is, and she's outspoken and she says what she thinks. She has no filter and she's being true to herself. And I think that's why she's so successful, because she's being true to who she is and she's not trying
Yes.
to adapt a certain image that's not her. And I feel a lot, and that's the thing, because a lot of celebrities have an image and we think they're a certain way, and then when we meet them, it's not what we anticipated. Or I remember when I met Mariah. I'm a big Mariah Carey fan, and
Same.
I
Woo,
love
same. I love
and I actually met her on the set of Glitter. I was an extra, and it was so funny. I never thought of Mariah Carey like cursing, right? So I'm on the set and I didn't think I was going to see her because it was like hours of filming. And then the director was like, you go upstairs to the balcony. So I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm definitely not going to see her. A couple of seconds later, I turn my back and she's right behind me. I was like, oh my God, Mariah Carey. And she was just like, uh, it's hot up here. My makeup is melting. And I was like, oh, is it okay that I
Mom
curse
from
here? So
Mariah.
I was like, but I spoke to her and I mentioned in my book, she was very sweet and she gave me she was very encouraging. I let her know how her music has been such an inspiration for me.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that. That is a beautiful thing. So you got to be an extra on that movie. And in terms of like, have you ever approached her for a Q&A now that you're with Splash Magazine? Have you ever tried to do that? And
you know what? So that's a good question. And it's funny because I decided that when I started doing Q&As, I was also realizing that celebrities have people going crazy for interviews for them, right? And I realized that once a celebrity does an interview, it's like the public already knows what it is, and it doesn't matter which media outlet has it. It depends on who breaks it first, right? So um, I felt like I wanted to do more people that were not necessarily known or still in the struggle or trying to make something, because that was more of a challenge for me. I was learning about them. It's something different. It's not the same old story that you've heard on Oprah or you heard here. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
um, but I do want to interview Mariah Carey, and I think that I'm just waiting. She also came out as having bipolar disorder, and I read her memoir, and I was a bit disappointed because she doesn't mention anything about having bipolar disorder in the memoir, and I thought, like, wow, that was interesting.
I wonder if the editors, for some reason, you know how sometimes these books go through multiple rounds of edits. If
Yeah,
someone said, "Oh, well, public image wise, you should probably take that out," I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of the process.
the
But,
process, probably, yeah.
and maybe that becomes some, oh, I'm excited for you. Like, I want this to happen for you. It's like that would be the perfect culmination of all of this, like just coming together, being able to talk to her about that and be able to share, because I don't think there's ever been just a Q&A about mental health, what she's done to balance it, what she recommends other people do. I think it's nice that it's, I think we as a culture are becoming more open about just talking about things. I think back in the day, I could think about my parents and their parents, things were just like hush hush. Well, and so it's really nice to I don't know, to see that things like mental health are getting its time for people to help understand it. Really, that's important. I have family members who struggle with mental health issues as well. I have a dad who has dementia. All of
Oh
these
wow.
things, without having resources, how do we help support, right? And I think it's really awesome what you're doing. I can't wait to check out your book. So David, I'm loving everything that you're saying. I am actually part Arab as well. I'm Puerto Rican Syrian, which is not a common mix, but I understand culture wise. You know what? I think that humans make things like religion and other things wrong, and I think our relationship between us and God is that's that. So I'm with you on that. Where we're all going
Yes,
to
I
be
mean,
judged. It shouldn't be by humans. It should be by,
the higher power, God.
that's
And,
right.
we're all carrying our own cross. Like, life is challenging enough. We don't need to add people's stupidity or ignorance into our personal journey, you know?
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. I love this. I love how authentic you are. I love how human you are and how you've taken these steps in your personal life, in your career to just, I am who I am. This is how I want to approach media. This is how I want to approach my life and help other people. I'm loving that. And I'm loving that about your energy, David. And so
Oh,
I'm
thank
so
you.
glad. Yeah, I'm so glad that we took time to interview you today. I think people forget. I'll tell you, David, you probably agree, but you know, people forget that the media are humans themselves,
Yes.
and media have taken such a beating. People are like, oh, the media and this and fake news this, and and it hurts me because working with so many wonderful members of the media, I'm like, you guys do know these are humans just trying to do their job in the best way that they can and serve their audience in the best way that they can. You need to cut them a break. Without the media, we all wouldn't be informed. So I really just love, I love that you've taken this sort of approach to your career. And I just love how authentically human you are. This is nice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I mean,
Absolutely.
I love what you're doing. And it's, to be a woman and to be in this industry is such a challenge. So I give
Yes.
you all the kudos and respect. And that's amazing what you're doing.
No, thank you. Thank you. It's trying to do my part also and be a woman of color and also help other people understand. One, I want to make sure that our members of the media have all the help that they can, especially because PR people, I want them to understand without media, we don't have jobs. So please help the media do their
Yeah,
job as best you can. Don't send them stupid pitches. Don't blast them. If you know David wants Q&As, send him a direct pitch about a great Q&A that you could do or arrange for him. Don't send him some blast that's going to crowd his inbox. Am I right?
exactly.
And honestly, David, I have had so much fun talking to you. We'll probably have to have you back on again for
Oh,
a
I would love that.
here. But before we close out, I want to make sure people know where to find you online, where to read any of your great Q&As, and how they can find your book as well. So if you can share that with the audience, I want to make sure that everyone gets to hear that.
So I write for Splash Worldwide. You can just Google David Rabadi and articles, and then you can read all my articles. And my book is How I Lost My Mind and Found Myself. It can be purchased at barnesandnoble.com, Amazon, or you can go to my website, davidrabadi.com. You'll find out my contact information, more about my story, and how to purchase my book. And this has been such a pleasure, and I'm so
Oh,
happy. I wasn't sure, because in like interviews, you just never know how they're gonna pan
yeah,
out, and it's not
yes,
rehearsed, and we didn't talk, like, you know what I mean. So it's like,
yes.
this has been so sweet. It's such a great part of my day. It's the highlight of my day.
Oh, yay. And it's like, honestly, too, and like this for me has probably been one of the most like just raw and
Yeah,
real interviews. And again, I am so passionate about making sure that people understand that media are human beings. Respect what they do for you as an audience person. Without the media, we wouldn't be informed. Stop. Like, I just, the media hate that people have, and especially now, I'm like, stop. These people are here
yes.
to help, and we have to have respect for what they do. And I'm a fan. Without media, I know as a PR person, I wouldn't have a job. So thank you for all that you do. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, no, this has been an absolute pleasure, David. You are a pleasure to chat with, and I hope that we can become friends and stay in touch. And
Yes, that sounds great. That
yes,
sounds good to me.
absolutely. Yay. And for those of you who got a chance to catch this great episode, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting Perfect Pitch. And, hopefully you guys go and download and buy. Can they get your book in hard copy too from Barnes and Noble?
Yes,
Awesome.
yes,
I love hard copy books. I'm still,
yeah.
call me old school. I love to flip through pages. So good. All right. Well, thank you all for joining and listening to Perfect Pitch. For those of you who haven't subscribed yet, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Let us know what you think about this great interview. And thank you so much. To learn more about NRPR Group, for those of you who don't know about our firm, you can go to nrprgroup.com. And I'm your host, Nicole. Thank you so much again for tuning in.